So, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Connolly Motor Group Podcast. I'm your host, Dennis Finbar Cronin, and today I'm delighted to be joined by a former rugby player and all-around great guy, I guess. It's Mr. Peter Bracken. Peter, you're here today. You're going to be chatting with us all about this amazing fundraiser you've got coming up. But before we get into that, I just suppose for anyone that is just tuning in, maybe doesn't know you, Peter, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, thanks very much for having me on, Dennis. It's great to be here. So, I suppose my background is in sport, and rugby in particular. I was a professional rugby player for 10 years. I played with Connacht for 4 years. Loved my time there, and went over and played with Wasps and Harlequins over in England, and I played a season in France as well. And I suppose the highlight of my career rugby wise would be with my time at Wasps. I won a European Cup back in 2007 there, and so it was a great life. It was a great thing to do, but it doesn't last forever. Thankfully I got through it pretty much unscathed, a few knocks and bruises and injuries, but nothing that has kind of set me back after rugby. So went in a bit of coaching, set up a business called the Scrum Doctor, where I go around to clubs and schools and coach just the scrum in rugby. That's very much a kind of a hobby kind of business. So what I'm at full-time at the moment, I'm a full-time carer and for my young lad, and he has autism, and that's been absolutely brilliant. I've been doing that for the last 2 years, doing it through COVID, and but look, that won't last forever. It's been absolutely brilliant. But I suppose I ended up getting into what I'm at now is a big journey ahead of me, and I got into an electric car 3 years ago, and I just was blown away by them. I just didn't realize how good they were. So so I kind of been driving electric since, and I love it. And but I do find there's an awful lot of myths around them, range and all that, and that once you start driving for about a week, that all goes, and it completely disappears. So, and I've got, I suppose when I started driving electric, I kind of took a look at myself and I said, what could I do to really be more sustainable and lower my carbon footprint in general? So I've been doing loads of stuff around that. It's not just the electric cars. And over COVID, I set up basically a social media hashtag called Peter Tries, and Peter tries different various challenges to get him out of his comfort zone. So, I've been coaching rugby to cows. I've tried to bribe politicians. That was quite easy. Now this is all a bit of fun. I've done kayaking and paddleboarding and stuff, and I've been trying to lower my carbon footprint. I've got an urban garden going. I do put on the washing machine and set the timer for 2 o'clock in the morning, not 7 o'clock in the evening, and all these things really do kind of make a difference. So the long and the short of it, I decided that it's possible to drive around the 32 counties of Ireland in 100% electric vehicle. And myself, Mikey Smith, are aiming to do it in under 24 hours. And we're very confident that we'll be able to do it. And I'm very thankful to you guys in Connolly Motors for supplying the electric vehicle. So it's going to be brilliant.
Brilliant. And I suppose we're thrilled to be supporting you, Peter, in your journey. I suppose this isn't the first time you're going to be going around to the 32 counties. You previously did an amazing fundraiser called 32 Songs in 32 Counties. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? And was there anything that you kind of learned from that journey that you're going to be bringing into this next journey that you're going on?
Yeah, that's right, Dennis. And again, you guys supplied the car for that as well. So thank you very much again for that. And yeah, so myself and Mikey, you know, I was banging on about the electric cars to Mikey. He's driving a diesel and he was having none of it. And he, you know, the usual crack, oh, they're no good and I'll break down and all the rest. So I said, right, come on a trip with me. I reckon, let's, and he's a singer. And so we just came up with the idea that we'd sing 32 songs and a song in each county. And while we're at it, maybe raise and have a bit of crack with it and raise a few quid for our local autism charity here. And we did, Mayo Autism Camp. So they were absolutely delighted with it. And we raised over $3,000, which was fantastic. So yeah, we did it about 3 months ago. Mikey sang a song as we entered each county, and he played 2 or 3 songs when the crack got going, and people started to follow and they enjoyed it. And we did, but after that, we just said we reckon we could really do something that would really hit home how good these electric cars are and how Ireland is so suited to it, because we just gone around the 32 counties. We did a leisurely pace. There was no panic, and we decided we could do it in 24 hours, and that's what we're going to do. And we've got another friend, Wayne Brennan, who is a videographer. We just and a cameraman, and we just roped Wayne in 2 or 3 days ago. So Wayne's going to come and he's going to take a few photos and maybe a few videos and kind of document the whole thing. So we're looking forward to it, and we're doing it for charity again, and we're doing it for the national charity. It's RDI, so it's Rare Diseases Ireland. So Rare Diseases Ireland is an umbrella group for all the smaller rare diseases groups. So there's about 50 rare disease smaller groups under Rare Diseases Ireland. So they're delighted that we'd help them out. And just personally, like my ex-wife Rachel, she lives with a condition called Addison's disease, and it's a rare disease. So, and there's only 30 people in the whole of Ireland that have it. And it's a little bit like diabetes, but it's an autoimmune deficiency. So basically the autoimmune cuts down and you stop producing hormones. So just like diabetes, if you don't take daily injections or daily medication, you die. But once you have that medication, you can live, and you're diagnosed, and you can live a very a normal life, we'd say. And so yeah, that and Addison's disease have their own charity. But it's so hard lobbying and getting what should be a human right, medication and services to help with your condition. So that's where Rare Diseases Ireland come in. It's basically everyone gets together, and all of a sudden they go from 50 small groups to one big group that can fight their corner.
Well, geez, that's brilliant, and obviously a great cause to be doing this charity drive for, Peter. And I suppose in terms of the charity, how can someone that's up for donating or is interested in supporting your journey and raising funds for Rare Diseases Ireland, how can they donate?
Well, we have just set up, and a Peter Tries 32 Counties Instagram page, and also a Peter Tries 32 Counties Facebook page, and it's Peter Tries, and it's spelled Trys, so the rugby try, because I used to play rugby. And you can follow us on that, and we'll have links up to the Rare Diseases Ireland, rdi.ie website, and basically links directly to the I Donate page. But if you want to just now, after this, head into Rare Diseases Ireland, rdi.ie. You'll find a donate button, so you can go straight there directly.
Brilliant. Well, geez, we'd encourage anyone listening to this to do so, because it's a great cause. And I suppose, Peter, touching on that first trip that you did around the counties, I suppose one of the big things I think people worry about with electric cars, and it's something they definitely shouldn't worry about, is the range a lot of the time. Because I suppose now more than ever, the ESB has rolled out so many different charging points across the country. Even where I live here in Galway, for example, we're covered in charging points. There's nearly more charging points than petrol pumps around. But I suppose for you, you headed all around the country. Did you find that the availability of these charging points was widely applicable?
Yeah, like we had no issues. So we had, when we went around the last time, we stopped 4 times. So basically, like with the Volkswagen ID4 that I got from yourselves and Connolly's, like it does 400 kilometers. And it's marked down that it does that, and it actually does that. It's very, very accurate. That's what I found. So you have 400 kilometers. Like that's, in Irish roads, that's 5 hours of driving before you have to recharge. So and my whole point with the 24 hours thing is you'll do it just as quick in an electric car as you would a petrol or diesel car, because if you're driving a petrol or diesel for 5 hours in a row, if you're driving safely, you should be stopping. You should be stopping for a rest and recharge and, a bit of food, coffee, whatever. So, so anyway, in the last trip, we stopped 4 times and we charged each time. And we got up to the charge point. We're all free. As in there was no one there. We have our card. We pay for it. Just tap the card, away you go. And, it was a great opportunity to have a bit of food and whatever, and there was no issues. Now you have an app to tell you whether a charger is out of order or isn't. So as you're driving an electric car, you begin to check these things before. And, the car tells you, look, you've 20% charge left. You'd want to be kind of having a look around for chargers. You're down to 10%, you're getting into the red, but that comes as second nature very, very quickly. Like within a week of driving an electric car, you've got that down. And we were up in Northern Ireland, and there just happened to be someone charging ahead of us, and they had 10 minutes left. We had a bit of a chat, and we headed on from there. So you could say technically, I did 2,147, I think, kilometers over that weekend. And yeah, I lost 10 minutes because I was chatting to someone at a charger, waiting for them to finish. Like, that's not bad.
Yeah. And do you know what? I suppose as someone who's driving an electric car for a good while myself, it's mad to think this, but it's actually sounds very odd to say, but it's a great way of meeting people, because when you're at the charging point, you'll typically have a conversation with anyone else that's at the charging point about their electric car or the one you're driving or whatever. So it's a great way of chatting with people. And there's a massive community of electric car drivers out there, and they're so popular. And I suppose the Volkswagen ID4 is hugely popular across the group, across our Volkswagen sites, and we can see why, because they're a fabulous car. And I suppose, Peter, in terms of the features inside the car, was there anything that kind of helped you more than anything? Did you use the Apple CarPlay and the Google Maps a lot? Did you need that to get around the place?
Yeah, well, it was massive. It's a massive car. Like, it's a huge SUV, as big as anything I've ever driven. Like, I thought I was in a Range Rover. It was so big, honestly, and I think it's because the batteries are underneath you. So, like, in all the electric cars, even the ID3, which is, people could compare to a Golf or something, but it's not. It's a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger inside because the batteries are underneath, which gives more space. Small motor rather than a big engine in the front. So you have more space in electric cars for the same size. There's no gearbox in the middle, taking up space behind and stuff like that. So yeah, look, the space eventually. Look, I'm 6'2" and I'm up close to 20 stone now at this stage. But even the ID3, plenty of space for me, you know, a nice family hatchback car. And then you get into an ID4 and you're up and you know, there's myself and Mikey, you know, we both played rugby, we'd be big lads, you know, it was very, very comfortable. I thought I was in an armchair, you know, you're literally in an armchair and the car drives itself. Like I love the old cruise control. Like, so before I got into the ID4, I only had just a normal cruise control or whatever you set it at the limit. Like the car has that, but it also has that driving assist so that, you know, if you're encroaching on a car in front of you and you're not really concentrating, it'll slow down to keep your distance. If you start verging in or out over lines, it'll get you back in. Now, if you absolutely go crazy, it's not going to save you. But, you know, if you lose a little bit of concentration, all those safety features. So literally on the motorway, or even not on the motorway, but, you know, A roads or whatever, you can set the thing, you can set the driver assist and basically the car drives itself. And it also, as you're going around corners, like gentle bends, it'll go around for you. And you know, after a while, you get used to it. You get to trust the car. That'll go. Now, you always have control in the steering wheel. You're like, you know, but, and I found, like, I thought the last time I did it, right, okay, that's 2 days of full driving. Like the second day, I'm going to be wrecked, you know, but I wasn't. I was still energized the second day because you're not as fatigued. You're not as fatigued driving an electric car. That's for definite. Like, first of all, you're not changing gears. It's fully automatic and the power is instant. I suppose people don't realize an electric car, the power is instant. There's no lag. So they're faster. They're all faster. And for the size of an ID4, I thought the acceleration was very, very good. Now, the acceleration on the ID3 is exceptional. You know, it's exceptional. It's a bit, you know, so yeah, look, the whole driver assist, all that technology. I didn't hook my my phone up to it, but I did use the its own sat nav navigation, and it showed me where the charging points are along the way, along the route. And I actually, just for curiosity, I was using it, and I was using the ESP app or whatever, and it was giving me the same charge point. So it was giving me the same information, same distances. So it was a very good system.
Well, geez, that's great to hear. And I suppose that's one thing about all these electric cars is because they're the future, they're so high tech inside there, kind of at the cutting edge of all the technology in terms of the features. And I suppose, Peter, you've driven around all 32 counties. You're going to do so again in 24 hours. I must ask you, where was your favorite county to visit, and which was your favorite stretch of road, I suppose, across the country?
Well, I'm an Offaly man, so Offaly's number one, and I'm living in Mayo, so I'm a bit biased there as well. But you take those two counties out of it. After that, oh, Ginny, there's so much lovely, lovely spots. Do you know what? I didn't realize how lovely Antrim is. I remember driving up the Antrim coast and through the Antrim Hills and all that, down by the coast road, but I never went from basically Derry, like Maherafelt, down to Belfast. And as you're going, like, it's just absolutely stunning. Like, you know, you've the Golden Vale down south, you've the west coast of Ireland. You do realize, though, you know, everything's beautiful, but you know, the farmland, you know why the Brits stuck to the pale, and beyond that, like, the farmland is really, really good, you know.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Vikings came over, and they kind of didn't really go too much further than Dublin or whatever. Like, you know, the land over the East Coast is really, really good. But as you're going west, the land tends to get worse. But probably with mountains and hills and all that, you could argue that it's more picturesque, you know. So it's a lovely county. And People should do it. Just drive to 30 counties. Now we're on a bit of a time thing, but that would be something I'd love to do and actually spend a day. What a trip that would be. Imagine 32 days traveling. A day in each county, something like that, or the Wild Atlantic Way as well. And I know a few guys who drive electric cars, and they purposely have driven the Wild Atlantic Way just for a holiday, but also to see if the electric car could do it. And it can. They've had no problems because you have the public charging, but also like the trick is you leave with full charge. If you buy an electric car, you get a grant for your home charger. So 95%, the stats would say this, 95% of the charging is done at home. So you don't have to worry for 95% of journeys. 400 kilometers. Very few people go more than 400 kilometers in any one go. Very, very rarely. And if you do, there are charging points there. And destination chargers are becoming very popular now, where hotels and shopping centres and leisure centres and all that are beginning to install chargers. And I think sports clubs is a huge opportunity for sports clubs to install chargers so that when people go to a hotel, they can charge overnight. Like for me, my first thing is, right, I need to go to a hotel. Right, okay, what hotels have chargers? That's number one, and so that's good. Hotels are beginning to get onto that. Aldi and Lidl and all these, they're installing chargers so people can come, they can do the shopping for an hour, come back out, and they've got charge back in their car. And at the moment, that's free, and it's a good way of getting people in. And but I think sports clubs, like I'm a parent and I'm dropping kids to sport, there's always an hour there that you're trying to kill or whatever. Why not charge your car while you're at it? I think that's an opportunity for sports clubs as well. But yeah, I'm fully fully committed to the all electric cars now, and I'm actually on the Irish EV Owners Association. I just help out where I can, and huge information about electric car driving from people who actually drive it, and they're straight. They'll give you the good and the bad about it, and but I suppose the real quote is that no one that I know of that drives electric car has ever gone back to petrol or diesel. No one that's ever driven one has ever gone back, because they're just superior. They're just a better car. And look, the petrol and diesel have done us huge service, the freedom and all that with cars. But they haven't helped the old planet or whatever. So now we've an opportunity to keep that technology, keep the love of cars, but go cleaner and greener and better for the environment, really.
Absolutely, and I think it's definitely going to become more and more popular in this country. And I suppose fundraisers like yours, Peter, are great because you get the double-edged sword with them. You're doing great stuff for the charity side of things, but you're also doing great stuff in raising awareness about the availability and the ability of electric cars. And Peter, before I let you go, we must ask you, when is this charity fundraiser taking place? And maybe just remind us again of how people can donate to it.
Yeah, so it's happening this weekend coming. So this September 18th and 19th, 2021. So we're starting at Connolly's in Ballina. We're hoping to start at 2:00. And so if you're about, come and say hello and send us off or whatever. And maybe take an old test drive in a couple of cars while you're there. And and then we'll head off and we'll come back around, and we're aiming to finish obviously within 24 hours. But, so we'll have finished by 2:00 in Connolly's in Galway. Connolly Motors there in Galway. So we're going from Connolly's to Connolly's, but we're going a long way around. And it's under 24 hours. I have a feeling we'll have a little bit of time to spare. And that's it this weekend. And you can donate to Rare Diseases Ireland, directly, they have an I Donate page, or you can go straight on now to the Peter Tries 32 Counties Facebook and Instagram pages. Peter Tries, TRYS, Peter Tries 32 Counties, and there'll be links to the I Donate charity page there for Rare Diseases Ireland.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, Peter, I suppose all I can say to you now is best of luck on your journey. No doubt you'll have an amazing time and raise amazing funds for Rare Diseases Ireland, all while driving a Volkswagen from Connolly Motor Group, a fully electric Volkswagen. Before you go, you must tell us which Volkswagen are you going driving, or do you know yet? Which electric?
Oh yeah,
Volkswagen?
It's the ID4. The ID4.
Oh, brilliant.
So first edition. So it's the big SUV, Volkswagen ID4. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back in there and sitting in my armchair and just letting the car drive itself. So
yeah, I think they had to give you the ID4 with all those rugby players hopping into it. Just make sure everyone has loads of room. So Peter, that's great. Thanks so much for coming on the Connolly Motor Group podcast. Thank you so much to everyone at home for listening. And until next time, we'll see you later. And Peter, best of luck with your drive again. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much, Dennis.